Okay, Second Life. Trying to get the ideal lighting. I'm outside listening to Mr. Gerald Salante talk about economic problems. I just thought I'd chime in. I'm going to have to hold this phone, so forgive me for all the vibration. Um, Usually, when this is done, I think you wait for people to come in, but I think this is the fastest way to do a recording and to post a recording. So I'll use this platform to do the recording and then upload it straight so I don't have to do all this editing business. I just wanted to get this out of my. All right, so what was I thinking about? I was thinking about what is it that we know that we know? What do we know that we know? If you do an experiment and you abandon everything you believe in, abandon everything, and then take the time to reevaluate everything based on your current state of consciousness, awareness, not consciousness, your current state of awareness, yes? But then combine that awareness with critical thinking and research, and then rebuild your belief system in everything that is coherent with your reality. Now, sit down and think about doing this experiment. This is very important because a lot of things you believe in, a lot of things you assume to be true, a lot of things you assume to be real may not be that. See, we're conditioned animals. And I don't use the word animal in an insulting way because we are really just thinking animals. You can tell from the way we assault one another, from the way we brutalize each other, that we have a lot of animalness in us. It's like you don't see a white dog three white dogs gathering up to beat up a black dog. That just doesn't happen. So at least they're colorblind. They look at the situation of individual strength and the defense of their own territory, or the aspect of them needing to procreate and then the show of strength based on that, or being territorial, or whatever. But animals at least have some sense of decorum when it comes to collaborating. It's the human race that really doesn't have that. We hate each other because of the color of our skin, because of the narrative that we listen to. We hate each other because of the information that we absorb. You look at a country like America now, very polarized. Most people who are on the left don't like and are physically harassing people on the right simply because they have a different ideology. They have a different point of view. Very interesting. It's a very interesting thing when you sit down and consider why we do what we do. Who are we? Do we really know who we are? Do we really take time to find out who we are? Because we spend a lot of time trying to be like other people than we do trying to be ourselves. It's really difficult to be yourself. I remember there's this old quote. I forgot where I watched it. I think it was in one of those TV sitcoms. It said the hardest person to be is to be who you want to be. Wild. The hardest thing to do, or the hardest person to be, is to be who you want to be. Yeah, I remember that. It was the Fawns that said that. This is Happy Days, way, way back. This was the 60s. I think we had like reruns of that we used to watch. So, be that as it may, we live in a world where we are fed with a plethora of information. And a lot of that information sort of like is built up to meet certain objectives. certain objectives, not necessarily individual objectives, but certain objectives, and those objectives actually keep us in this rotational, perpetual state of confusion. If you want to control people, keep them scared, keep them confused. You easily control people. And the minute they get some clarity, put more fear into it and add more confusion into it. So if you ever want to know what to avoid anything that actually separates you from other people based on fear and confusion. That's why the most poignant quote that I've heard in a long while was made by Neely Fuller Jr. He said, all problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. Very short. All problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. You question everything, and all of a sudden you begin to think like a legitimate universal being is supposed to think. You don't just take things on face value, you question it. Even what I'm saying, question it. I could be bullshitting you for all you care, for all I care. Maybe I need this in order to boost my ego. Who knows? Maybe I'm doing this because I get paid to misinform you. Who knows? Maybe I'm doing this because I feel like. Maybe I'm lonely and maybe I don't have friends. All these reasons could be legitimate, but who knows? You know? It is your interpretation of this message that I'm giving you, or this little period of clarity that I'm trying to share with you. My clarity, not yours. It's that interpretation that you give it that gives it value to you. So ultimately, information is based on how you interpret it, not necessarily the information. There's an old saying, I think the Native Americans, they said that when the ships from Europe were actually approaching, they couldn't see the ships because their eyes were not trained to recognize those vessels as something that existed. So they ignored it. They didn't think it was a danger. They just saw things in the horizon and they didn't identify those things. See, to them, those things didn't make any sense because they had never seen something like that before coming down the horizon. So they just assumed that it was another anomaly. And so they ignored it. Guess what happened to them? And guess what happened to them? See, so I'm saying this to say this. It is not everything that you hear. It is not everything that you hear through what you assume to be a credible source that is useful to you or that is useful to the environment you exist in. Everybody has an objective. Everybody has an intent. Like they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's another thing to consider. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Good intentions. Paved with good intentions. So, if you identify your own intentions and you stand by your own desires to be your own person, then it doesn't matter what you take in. What matters is the meaning you give to it. You can take it in, process it, filter it out, keep what you want and chuck the rest out. And rather than take things on face value, make sure everything becomes literal to you. You turn on the TV and they say this and you take it as the literal gospel truth and you don't think for yourself. You don't process things. You don't research things. You don't try and find out why. This is this or that is that. Why people are hated, why people are liked, why people do this and people do that. Why trends? Why do I have to actually sag my pants? What is the significance of sagging my pants? Did I start that trend? What was the trend for? What does it tell you? Why do people wear tattoos? Why do people have tattoos? What were tattoos for? There's so many things before you actually do them. You have to process and ask yourself, is it what I really want? Am I just following a trend? Am I just being part of the collective? Am I susceptible to fear and confusion to the point where I lose my sense of identity and I can't tell what I want, but I just do what everybody is doing and I follow them because I'm scared that I wouldn't fit in? But every individual is unique. And every unique individual has a significant function here. Because you don't build a machine and have parts that are useless. It doesn't make any sense. A creator is not dumb. Every single person born onto this planet is born with a unique purpose. You just need to go inside of yourself in order to find that unique purpose. That's it. And it's necessary to think critically about the amount of information you consume. Consume as much as you need to, because you need to know everything about everything that involves your life. But you should be able to, at this point in time, process, take things in, process, reflect on them, meditate, learn more, do some more research before you jump into conclusions and then go out and argue based on your ignorance. That's a dangerous thing. That's why they say a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. As a how do you say, as a rule for me, I rarely, if ever, try and defend anything that I didn't originate. It's dangerous. I don't want to make statements just because statements are there to be made. It doesn't make any sense to just make statements when you can't actually defend the statements in its entirety. I'd rather ask questions. And then we break things down after that, break it down to the infinitesimal. And then if it's digestible, I digest it. And I add it to my data bank and use it if necessary. That's where we go into that knowing doing gap I talked about last video, where you have to actually not just know stuff, you have to know how to put stuff into practice. There's no point in me telling you that eating vegetables will make you healthy, and you say, I know that, but you never eat vegetables. How do you know that? You don't know that. You've heard of it. You haven't put it into practice, And so you're never going to be as healthy as you want to be if you don't eat those vegetables. You just know you'd be healthy if you eat the vegetables. Having that in your mind wouldn't attract the health to you. There has to be some element of work put into the thought process. Even the Bible says faith without works is dead. So I just one of those spur of the moment type things. Like I said, I did it via live. Only one person joined, which was nice. I'm just going to upload this straight on Instagram and maybe download it and put it on my YouTube channel if possible. And then hopefully I'll probably do more lives as at when the time calls for it. And if people are interested in joining in, chiming in, that'd be good, because then you can ask me questions and we can discuss about things. And I'll give you my own personal philosophy on a few things. As KRS once said, I think very deeply. All right, so you have a good day. It's 1:30 where I am, and so it's in the afternoon. I'm going to mosey on down to the office and then do some of my exercises in a couple of minutes and all that. And I wish you a pleasant weekend. Tomorrow we'll be doing the MED conversation at 4 o'clock my time, which would be on my YouTube channel. YouTube channel is youtube.com/user/EAPENU. You can catch it on IG. And I'll be doing these things more frequent, as I said. Have a wonderful weekend. If you like what you hear, then you can subscribe. Farchanti joined. Hello, Farchanti. I'm actually just going off live, so you can actually watch this in about 5-10 minutes. Have a lovely day. Thank you.